Tonight's session is on wearables and more, and we're going to have lots of great examples of different pieces of technology, but what I'm really looking forward to is some of the fundamental issues that come along with wearable technology. I'm going to talk about concepts and look at lots of cool examples of what's out there today. So, and with every session, we're going to be able to have a live Q&A for each of our presenters as well. So be sure if you have anything that you'd like to know more about or are curious about, definitely take the opportunity while they're up in front to talk about what you're curious about. So today's agenda, we're going to have our sessions and some great makers from San Diego here to present all sorts of different topics. We're going to talk a little bit about the upcoming Maker Faire event for San Diego and what's going on with that. Some of what's happening with the San Diego Maker Faire Latino initiative and what we're trying to do to get outreach specifically to Latino makers and Latino community. We're going to have an update from the San Diego Mayor Maker Challenge, and it's a good update, so that's nice. So look forward to that. And we're going to talk a little bit about San Diego Startup Week and what's coming up in the coming future and what you can do to be involved with that. And after the meetup tonight, just like every month, we are going to have a hangout session at Lolita's. It's a taco shop. We have to be out of here. Everyone get your car out of the garage by 9, because it's a hassle if you don't. 8, even better. Thank you for interjecting there. It's an issue. So get your car out by 8, but we can walk right down the street. It's right down Park towards the bay if you want to check it out. And that's what we're going to be doing after tonight's event, which I think is going till like 7:45. So, our first presentation today is from a really cool woman named Jen Hickman, who I met at the Maker Faire last year as an organizer, and she's going to be showing all sorts of cool stuff. So, here's Jen Hickman. Yep, okay. To the right notes.
Hi, I'm going to talk to you today about wearables. I have a background in materials engineering, but about 4 years ago I went to one of the Maker Faire. This is a picture from it, and this is the first one where they basically blacked out an entire hall for all things Blinky. So in the very middle of it was these Tesla coils, and they had this amazing presentation with this guy in a mesh suit, shooting electricity at him, and then they put a bunch of kids in a cage and shocked them. It's really amazing. But the rest of the hall is full of, I'd say about 40% clothing, wearables, and the rest were like bike lights and displays and stuff like that. So a lot of inspirational stuff, and that got me into incorporating a lot more lighting into my clothing. I have a side business that makes men's alternative clothing for like festivals and bringing in stuff, so I've been doing it mostly with that. So today I'm going to talk to you about basics of wearables for like a beginner, if you've never done them before, how to get started, and just general overview of concerns I've had. Okay, first is manage your expectations. When you go to, start a wearable, you see all these great things, and you want to do the code on the right. You're like, I want to make this amazing array of lights and rainbow and have it streaming, and that's really impossible to do. It's only so professional. There's a reason that could cost $4,000. It's worth it. I would say maybe start with something like the one on the right, which is a really easy project. I made 4 of these hoodies for my brother's family last Christmas. And it was a great project, really awesome for kids, because now whenever they take them somewhere, the kids are lit up at night, really easy to find, so, and that's really easy to do. So I'm going to talk to you about all the different things that I know of that light up outfits that I've been using. The first is LEDs, and there's a lot of things that you can do with them, with Arduinos and lily pads. And generally, when we talk about wearables, it's normally what people focus on, because that's the tech stuff, that's the really complicated stuff. But I have a profession to make, I have no idea how to program. So I kind of use the other things that don't require that, and we'll talk to you mostly about other things that you can use if you're not so computer savvy. So another thing is LED wire, which is $5 on Amazon, and it's what I use in this hoodie right here. I bought this hoodie at Swap Meet for I think $15. Sewed in some LEDs and voila, done. Everybody loves it. You can find me really easily at night, and it makes a good nightlight when you're walking if they're at a really dark festival or something like that. So LED strip, EL wire, EL panel, and fiber optics are other things I've also used. The three considerations that I consider when I'm making wearables. First is waterproofing. You'll see most often in wearables that you use mostly exterior, that you see it mostly on exterior type things. So like accessories like hats, jackets, things that are not that close to the body. And there's a reason for that. One, these are electronics, and even though you can kind of waterproof them, they're metal with tiny connections, all made in China, and they just wear out, corrode. They're not meant to be that close to the body. Second is you don't like feeling wires, and you are a conductor, so you can short circuit everything. So putting it closer to the body, making like a light up shirt, not as practical as a light up coat. So these two LED strips that I showed at the bottom, the one on the right is waterproof strip, and it basically has a plastic coating that is embedded on the LEDs. But the one on the left is actually just like their LED strip that comes in like this plastic casing. So just be like aware of that when you're shopping, that it looks kind of weird and rigid like the one on the left. That's not what you want to use. It's not actually waterproof. It's just like in a waterproof housing. It's also really bulky and not fun to wear. The second consideration I have is what I call hiding light without hiding the light. So this is where the fun part of making wearables comes, and it's basically how are you going to hide the light without, completely blocking it. So bare LEDs are not as fun to look at. They're really bright, and they're not so pretty. And for a lot of wearables, what really impresses people is a glowing effect. So hiding it in something that disperses the light a little better becomes more appealing. So things that hide it are things like fur. You'll see a lot of light fur because the fiber really disperses the light really easily. Just hide it under a piece of fur and it looks like you tried really hard. But you can also put it under just white fabric. This fabric actually has EL wire in it. It's kind of hard to see. But the fabric has like sewn tubes in it, and I don't know, I found it at the swap meet or something, and I just ran the EL wire in it, and it was pretty easy. Also hiding it like behind grommet tape or in like other like mesh or under lace or something like that. Anything that hides the bare LEDs helps. The last is power considerations. That giant light-up coat I showed you in one of the first slides takes 5 giant batteries to run for only a couple hours. So one, always use rechargeable batteries if you can. Second, where are you going to put the batteries? So something like this, which has actually 6 feet of LED strip in it, will run on a 9-volt battery for 8 to 12 hours depending. I always use rechargeable batteries. I often make these hoodies that just have like a 2-foot strip in the hood, and that'll run for like 2 days or something. But it's where you're going to hide the battery case where it's not going to be uncomfortable. So often if it's up to about like a 9-volt battery, I put them on the base of the neck because you don't really feel it. It's got a lot of structure, whatever shirt or garment that you're wearing, to like not snag the material and pull and make it very obvious. And it's kind of comfortable. You never want to put a battery on any part of the back or like even in your back pocket because then you're going to sit on it and feel it. You don't want to put it on the sides because it looks bulky. And then you don't want to put it on the front because that's when you feel very aware of whatever the battery is. So it's really tricky hiding where the battery is. The smaller the better. So some items to get you started. There's a lot of prefab items out there. LED strip is one of my favorites because you just put it in and it's done. So I have some websites at the end that'll be resources for where to get pre-made, pre-wired up strip. You just literally get it already set to go. There's a little microcontroller in here that can let you go through the mode and the color and the speed and the brightness, and like you just sew it in. Also, Spark on Magic has like a lot of really cool wires and stuff like that. EL wire is a great prefab item because you don't have to hide it too much. It's already got a glowing effect, but it's really a pain in the butt to solder and to cut and to play with. That's the structure of what it is. It is a base wire with phosphorescent coating, and then these corona wires that are really tricky, and you have to do something like this with about 5 hands, and a lot of light and cursing, and then you'll get it right, and then it will break after 2 minutes, and you won't know why. But if you can, then you can make this coat like I did on the top. The problem with EL wire for that is you can't bend it more than 90 degrees. So I really wanted to make these sharp corners, and to do that I actually had to loop it around and then put black electrical tape on it. So it actually has loops on the sides, but I just covered that up so that I could get the sharp corners. And if you bend it too much and it's on like your person and you're just moving with it, what happens is the phosphorescent coating flakes off and makes a bunch of black spots in it. So that's the limitations of EL wire, but otherwise it's really fun because you can just get it and string it around you, and it's pretty easy and cheap. EL panel is something I haven't really played with just because of the price. Like a little square foot of it is about $15 to $20, but you can cut it and shape it to whatever thing that you want to make like a Canadian leaf or whatever design. You can even like put black decal on top of it to get a really intricate stencil. But it's also not very comfortable because it's a plastic panel. Fiber optics are pretty new. If you want to go to Lumagram and get some ideas, they have amazing things on there like curtains and pillows and fiber optic bed cover, and it looks really amazing in the pictures until you realize what it's made of and that you've only seen pictures of it on mannequins. And the reason why is because fiber optics are plastic, and you have to shoot the light straight down the barrel of the fiber optic. It only comes out the end. So to make it glow like this, you have to mix the plastic a whole bunch. Well, then you put down your arm, and your arm is rubbing against cut-up plastic. It's not very comfortable. And it also doesn't look like that. I made a pillow using the same, type of effect, and that's what it looks like when you drop the light. It doesn't bend all the way around. It loses light pretty easily. Maybe I could have done it better. I don't know, it's my first shot. But fiber optics are best for curtains, I would say. So LED strip is my favorite, as you've seen. This is my jacket. I sell these on my Etsy site. They just go like wildfire. I can't make enough of them. Just fuzzy hoodie, just put it in the rim, and it's great because it shines out. You don't want the light shining at your face because it's blinding you all night. And then putting it along the base is fantastic for kids, so you can find them. And that's my brother in the upper right, and he just puts on blinking red when he's biking home and doesn't need bike light. So he likes it. Last but not least, LEDs. When you want to do all the technical stuff, the Arduino, the very programming intensive stuff, you want these little tiny individual LEDs so that you can address them specifically. You can either make your own for 15 cents a piece or buy the ones that are already made for $1 a piece. I don't know why you would go through all that effort for pennies, but maybe. And then you need a conductive thread, which I don't know why they have a picture on the spool. It's like 7 times the price of regular thread. I wouldn't put it in the sewing machine. But yeah, you need that to sew between the things. And so I made a couple things with that. My hat, has it between the stuff. As you can see, you try to hide the little LEDs, have these little beads. And how do I do that? You ask if I don't know how to program. Well, there are these amazing things called pre-programmed things, and I got something called a sparkle from Magic. And you actually can just go on the website, on their website, and say, I want it to blink at 1 per second, and go, between all the little things, and you just hold down the center, the programmable part, if it works, if it wants to work for you. And when it's, I'll get it to work. You hold it down, and then you just go to the website and you send, and then you can reprogram the chip with blinking black and white things, and so you don't have to know how to do it. So anyways, that's my intro to wearables. There's a lot of stuff out there. Here's all the places that I go to get my stuff. Glow Hut is a great local, it's like in northern LA, and you order these little controllers in the LED strip, and you get it in 2 days, and it's fun. Adafruit and SparkFun are the two like leading edge websites for all the newest, latest, and greatest programmable things. Magic is what I just showed you. It's perfect for like kids and people that don't know how to program, and just fun projects like, you know, the collar for your dog or something like that. Amazon and eBay are where I go to get EO wire and LED strip, and they have an amazing array of that stuff. eBay is by far the cheapest, but it takes a long time to get. And then Lumograms for fiber optic ideas, although I got my fiber optics off eBay as well. And then Glowfer, Electrofer, and Light Design. If you just are looking for inspiration on things to do, those are my friends actually that started here and now in LA and I think Canada. And they have been making amazing light up stuff for, you know, movie stars and people on stage and stuff like that. So they have some really cool designs to inspire you, get you started. So there you go.
Great presentation. So if there's any questions for Jen about what she's made or the process. All right. Marcy's got the mic.
Great presentation. Hey, I got a question about the thread. How easy is it to work with? Does it break easy? Is it explode or?
It's actually it's really thick, and it's stronger than regular thread because it's made of a metal infused thing. So it's, I guess, easier to work with because it doesn't break easy, but it's a heavy thread. So think of like a coat thread that you're going to use. Again, I wouldn't use it in the sewing machine just because all the threads that a sewing machine goes through, you're going to spend dollars, you know, just setting up a machine. Yeah, you can get that on SparkFun, Adafruit. I'm not sure where you got yours.
Usually
one of those websites. So it's harder to find. I haven't found it anywhere in a local store.
What kind of materials other than the fur have you used to diffuse the LED light?
You can use a mesh, lace. I don't have any examples. So this isn't even a light colored material. This is sparkly already, and it looks dark. But as long as it's dark enough, you can see the light through it. So any thin material works. If you're going to use fur, the one thing you cannot use is black backed fur. So the light will not go through this no matter what I do. But other gray furs will be on like a light backing, so that'll shine through much better. Like a white satin would be perfect, even like a light colored satin. It's just take your LED strip to the store and just put it under everything, which is kind of what I do sometimes to hide other stuff. And also trim. Grommet tape, I'm not sure if you know what that is. It's just like a strip of fabric with a bunch of metal grommets on it. I use that for a lot of my guide clothing because it's more industrial and rough looking. And then you can just put the lights behind each of the openings and it hides all the wires and stuff like that. So that's the fun part basically. It's like, how am I going to hide these lights and still make it look good, you know? So.
All right. Well, thank you. Secure. All right. Next, we are going to have a great maker named Carol Willing, who I met today for the first time, and she has the great and cool title of Geek in Residence for the San Diego Fab Lab. I know because I saw it on her bio page on their website, so it is official. And she's just involved in a lot of really cool things, and has a great presentation ahead of us. So, Carol Willing, everyone.
Well, thank you, everybody, for being here. Am I not on? Am I on? Now that you've disrobed me and put the wires all through me. There we go. And there's the clicker. Thank you all for being out here. Just so I have a sense of who you are and what interests you. How many people are under the age of 25? Raise your hand. Okay. Of those people under the age of 25, how many of you like art? Music? Making stuff? Creating havoc? Chaos? No. Okay. Those of you that are over 25 might remember a few things. And I will preface this all with, I am much more of a geek in terms of software and hardware and teaching people how to use software and hardware than I am an artist. So keep that in mind. As much as I would like to be, I'm not. So the question is, what are you wearing? And what I'm going to talk about is people, prototypes, and some privacy things. And what I want to do now is introduce you to a few people from my past. So those of you that are under 25, don't be alarmed. This is something some people in here might remember. It's a Walkman. Wearable electronics have been around for a long time. Does anybody not know what a cassette tape is? It's okay if you don't, because it's hard to remember. But basically, Sony came out in 1980 with a Walkman, and this was a little box, this little blue box at the bottom here, and it played music that you had on a cassette into these little headphones, and it had this very handy button on the top, because it said walking stereo with hotline, and hotline, here, get ready for it. If you push the button, it would shut the music off, and you would hear through the mic in the Walkman the announcements on a train or something like that. Because the headphones were so good back then that you couldn't have heard it anyway, which is not true. The headphones were, you'd put them on and they'd fall off within like 2 minutes, especially if you tried to run. And it weighed about, a little under 1 pound. But we thought it was the coolest thing. So, who would rather have that than like an iPod or any other thing? Okay, this is another thing. This was the mid-70s. There's lots of watches now, like Pebbles and Samsung and Qualcomm all have these watches that integrate with your phone. This was the calculator watch. And basically it came with a little pen, and the little pen you'd stick in the little hole, and, you know, basically it could add, subtract, multiply, and divide. I don't think it did much more than that, with little red LEDs, and it was really attractive if you were a female to wear, because it was probably about 3 inches wide. Okay, now, Jen was talking about when she makes stuff, sometimes she goes through multiple different things before she settles in on her design and she's messing around with trying materials. Well, this is a gentleman by the name of Steve Mann, who had been very involved in wearable computers and sort of augmented reality. And you can sort of see from the timeline on the bottom, it goes from 1980 to the late 1990s. And now let's fast forward to now. He's kind of doing what a Google Glass type thing is doing. And really the point of this is, as you iterate over time and you try different materials, things get better, things improve. This one's a little more up to date. Jen, I think I'd much rather wear Jen's outfit, because this has like a 3D printed box in front of each dress that has all the electronics, the batteries, and everything else. I can't imagine it would be very comfortable to wear, but, you know, it looks good on the model in the app. So, what do all those things have to do with each other? Well, in each thing, people are involved. And that's something that when you're thinking about technology, we don't do it because we really like little blue boxes that have the hotline button that can play music for, 60 minutes and then the battery dies. But people are different, they have different interests, one size doesn't fit all, and they're human. And this is actually my mom, or was my mom. And she had Alzheimer's for about 10 years. And one of the things that I've been working on is an open source project that helps people and their caregivers who have Alzheimer's. And one of the things that I noticed as I was caring for my mom was, as I watched her, she responded to things like touch. She liked gentle fabrics, like fleecy stuff, things that were soft. She really responded to sounds like music that she was familiar with, or music that I played on my ukulele, or familiar voices. And that's kind of hard because she never liked like the news radio voices, but she was okay with like a caregiver voice, which is kind of hard because as your brain gets remapped a little with Alzheimer's, it's hard. And then vision was an issue because your cognitive ability can change. So like things that are big, wide open, white spaces like a hallway can seem very scary. So falling's a big risk. So I thought, okay, wouldn't it be cool if I could take some of this stuff that I've been playing around with and help my mom? And so the first thing I wanted to try and do was take what I learned about the different ideas, and whether you're making like light-up clothing or, like a Fitbit or a Nike Fuel Band or something like that, you still have to do a prototype. So you're making some decisions along the way. And sensors are something that kind of just like your five senses, like touch and smell and taste and what are the other senses? Somebody help me. Hearing. Sight. Is that right? Yeah. I think we got it all. And so sensors help you learn about your environment and give you feedback about your environment. Those little microprocessors like an Arduino or some of the Sparkle chips that Jen had, those are sort of the brain of the product. And then communications, like you're using Wi-Fi or Bluetooth or something like that, when you want to communicate with other things. So one of the things that's really great now is the prototyping. You can do like really cool stuff in a few weeks. There's lots of standard sensors that let you track motion, like where, a lot of it's in the smartphones already, but who has a Wiimote or has ever played with the Wii? Yeah, so that's got, what we would call an accelerometer that knows, okay, which direction I'm moving things, or a gyro, which way I'm rotating things. And now, probably in the last year, they've been pretty popular, are these things called sensor fusion boards or chips. And basically it bundles like anywhere from 5 to 9 different sensors into one board, which before you'd have to use each individual one and wire it up. Well, now it's really easy. It's like 4 connections, and you can get all this great information. And who's never programmed? Cool. Who thinks it's scary? Yeah, a lot of people think it's scary. Who can make a chocolate cake? Of those people that thought that programming was scary. That, to me, it's scarier than programming, too. But if you can follow directions, you can learn to program, especially when you have cool people like Kevin and other people at the Fab Lab, Katie, and it's really not that hard. And in fact, there's a lot of gobbledygook here, but really, to get information is one line of software code. That will give us all the information about where we are with our hands, where we're moving. So don't be scared of it. You'll make mistakes, but if I were sewing something, I'd make a lot of mistakes. So not a big deal. Choosing software, there's a lot of tutorials, easily reusable code, so it's not scary whether you're really advanced, like somebody working at Samsung developing a new phone, or Qualcomm. I'm going to kind of skip this, but basically you can simplify it even more if your application doesn't need to be developed by other third parties, or if it doesn't need to do multiple things at once. And when I say multiple things at once, it would mean lighting up a light, simultaneously reading the music, and speaking something. But if you could do it in succession, it would be fine. And then you just want to figure out, okay, does it need to communicate with any people or things outside of the initial local environment where I am? So if I needed my Alzheimer product to tell Katie, hey, I just got up from my chair, I'm worried about falling, I would need some way to communicate with her. And the sort of standard right now that's evolving and is very power efficient is Bluetooth Low Energy and very easy to use. So after you kind of have your prototype, you're going to iterate. And that's just a fancy word for kind of tweak it a little, do it again, tweak it a little more, do it again. And just like we saw with the guy that has made like the wearable computers over 20-something years, same thing. Privacy. This is something that, because we're dealing with people, and because people are different and they have different needs, there's some social issues that come along with not just wearable electronics, but really anything in that whole Internet of Things kind of world. And as a developer, you want to be mindful and thoughtful of the fact that some people might not want to have their picture taken if you're wearing the Google Glass, and they have no way of knowing whether it's on or off. So even like a simple visual indicator like I can tell that it's closed because it's red, or green means it's on, is very helpful. Also, to be able to turn data on and off on what gets collected is helpful. Some of the applications in the business world are actually tracking employees' movements and their efficiency and, call centers, how long they're sitting, moving, whatever. And that can be very helpful, but it also could be a little invasive if you didn't want somebody knowing exactly where you were all the time. And then in the medical world, there's some legal issues as well about privacy and things. So really, think about what you want to wear or what idea you'd like to make. Start sketching it out. Don't worry if you don't know the parts or how to program it, because there's lots of people around there that you can ask for help. There's great YouTube videos. Becky Stern, she makes all kinds of cool stuff, like light up tennis shoes and jackets that with GPS in it, with little turn signals on the back, and you can go to the Adafruit website and look at her tutorials, and they range from something that would take about an hour to make to a few days. But I have a good friend who, she's my age, so she's been around a while, and she's never programmed before, like this time last year. Never programmed before, never had done anything with electronics, and we were at an event in San Francisco, and she's like, what do you think? Can I try it? Do you think I could do it? And she's done video production before, so she was very creative. And I said, sure you can. She's like, but I've never done it. I don't have a degree in it. I said, you can still do it. So, we emailed a little bit, and then she started really getting into it, and it was in a little hacker space in Philadelphia, sort of like the Fab Lab. And she actually won the Ada Fruits contest. She made a wearable light-up umbrella, which, had different LED strips like Jen was showing us. So she's one of the most creative people I know, and it's pretty cool to think that in just a year's time, she went from not just learning how to do it, but learning how to do it and then teaching other people how to do it. So, any questions? Where's the Fab Lab? Yeah.
What did you end up making for your mom? Or what did you make with it?
What I am making for my mom, my mom has since passed away, but so I kind of put it on the shelf for a little while. But it is basically an open hardware product that would sense when she moved, got up out of bed, and then it would light up some small LEDs, kind of like a twinkly thing as a distraction. It would play some soothing music that she was familiar with, or my dad's voice that she was familiar with, because typically when she would get up, she would be disoriented and a little scared. And then my dad would be able to hear that the music was going on or something, so he would be able to know, okay, she's getting up out of bed. And then the LEDs were also so that if she were to walk past the bedroom, there'd be light before the hallway lights came on automatically. I'm trying to think what else was in there. One of the reasons I wanted it to be something that didn't track her whereabouts, but really kept her safe. So it would have a temperature sensor in it, so that if she were to turn on and get too close to the stove, that it would sense the temperature had changed, and would then send some sort of alert out. But it was really going to be tailored to her routine and the things she responded to. And then what I was going to do is open, and I still will do it, I'm not sure when exactly, but do open hardware and open source software with it, because it's not something I want to make money out of. It's something that I want other people who might have a care need to be able to use. And one of the great things about open source is somebody else can use it, just like the Arduino. Somebody else can take the plan, use it, change it, make it better, or make it suit their application more, which is kind of cool. So it's all about sharing. That's it? Great. Cool.
All right. That was great. Another side to the wearables kind of concept, the privacy side. It's always good to see expert presenters like Carol. Next, we have Brian Hendricks, who I met through Dan, who's been a volunteer for the Maker Faire, the Mini Maker Faire event since its inception. And he's here to show off a piece of wearable tech that he made recently as part of his high school graduation. You can also congratulate him on getting through that in life as well. And Brian is also part of the Open Source Maker Labs, which is North County's hottest and greatest new makerspace. OSML, talk to Dan or Brian about it if you live in that area. They do lots of cool stuff. So, Brian, here.
All right. So I graduated this past Saturday from High North County, which, has anybody ever heard of that? It's a public charter school in America. All right. Cool. But I heard a lot of my friends talking about how they would be decorating their hat because apparently that's the thing you have to do. So I wasn't really sure what to decorate my hat, and I was going online a little bit. I saw that some people had been putting LEDs on their hat, and I thought that'd be kind of cool because nobody else I talked to was thinking about that. And I happen to have this LED strip, which I think you talked about a little bit, one of the same LED strips that she used in her clothing. I had one left over from an earlier project that I did for class, and so I figured I might as well hot glue it to my hat and plug it in. So I took one of these many Arduinos that we have in our garage, and I was able to go online and find the code. Like, the people who made this LED strip, they give you some demo code for an Arduino that you can just load to an Arduino and it'll work just by itself. It'll go in a couple of different rainbow modes, but so what I did is I took that code and I just loaded it onto the Arduino, and I was able to make this thing. Hopefully it'll work. There we go. So it just exists. And what I did to make it do that is I took just an audio cable that we bought at Friday the day before, because I only had like 2 hours to do this, because we got our hats on Friday, and our graduation was on Saturday. So I was doing stuff on Friday, so I made a quick run to Friday, and we got this audio cable which had 3 connectors in it, left, right, and ground. And because we figured we need 3 connectors for the positive, negative, and data for this LED strip, and this would work fine. And so I just cut it in half and plugged one half of it into the LED strip and one half of it into the Arduino. So in 2 hours that I made this in, I did some testing, make sure that the code was working, and it wasn't working quite right. What it did was it had a couple different modes that it would cycle through, and some of them I didn't really like. But I don't have a ton of experience in programming, so I had to go online to figure out what all this stuff meant in this chunk of demo code that they gave me. And I was able to figure out that I could just delete a couple lines, and then it would do what I wanted it to. So I was able to take out 2 of the pieces of code that it ran its demo sequence in, and I was left with this particular demo sequence that I really liked. Okay, I'll put it on. No. I thought we got rid of that.
No. We minimized it, my friend.
Go on. Okay. But one of the reasons I decided to do this is because nobody else was really doing it, which kind of bummed me out, because, I mean, it wasn't that tough to do. You know, really stick something to it.
Worse than a prom mom.
It's a special occasion.
But not a lot of people were doing this. I was the only one who had any kind of lights on their hat. Everybody said my hat was really cool, and that it was really easy to do. So I don't know why nobody else did it. I'm just gonna turn this on.
Okay, here. There we go.
But the point is, it wasn't that hard to do this. All I had to do was go online, find some code that was given to me, change it up a little bit, which I figured out to do in about half an hour, and then hot glue this thing onto a hat. And to soldering. That's easy one. But the point is, it's really easy to do this, and it shouldn't be any kind of barrier for any of you. Like, I don't know how to do this, I've never done this before. I haven't either. Well, okay, I have. Well, a couple months ago, I had neither. And actually, a couple months ago, I had no idea what I was doing, and I built a laser heart on the related project that we came from. Yes, which I didn't think today, but yeah, it's not that tough to get into. I figured out how to do this in 2 days of experimenting in class for one of the projects that we were doing, and you guys could probably do it in an afternoon. Yeah, no fancy presentation. Just this. good question.
How long will it run for?
That's a good question. I have no idea. The question is how long will this thing run for? I don't know. It just runs off of 3 AA batteries plugged into the Arduino itself. My guess is a couple hours, but I just had it on for about an hour.
I've had pretty good success with the LED strip. That's about
This is 1 meter, I think. Yeah. It was like $20-some online.
That was a lot for that. Well, it does have the rainbow capability, but the 3 batteries would probably run that for maybe 8 hours. It actually runs a lot longer than you think it would. Those little coin cell batteries I tested on a single LED, and I tested how long it would last for another project. So we're just talking like these little simple LEDs that you buy 100 for $3 on eBay, and these coin cell batteries that are, you know, maybe a quarter to 50 cents a piece. And it went dim after 3 days, but was still on faintly after 3 weeks. So they last a lot longer than you think they would. But other things can drain it amazingly, like rope light doesn't last very long. And LED strip, if you have it going very brightly, will kill the battery much faster than if you just put it on a lower setting. So you just play with it.
Yeah.
LED and a solar, you can have a power span of about 4 hours if you recharge it in the sun before you graduate.
Yeah. Yeah.
How many years have that?
Next month.
For college.
Yeah.
All right, any additional questions? All right, thank you, Brian. Okay. So that concludes the portion of our evening for our maker presentations. I hope everyone enjoyed those. That was some pretty cool stuff. And after tonight's meeting, there's lots of things to check out in person if you want to get a closer look. But next, we're going to talk about the San Diego Mini Maker Faire update, what's going on separate from these meetings, and everything that is actively being done to bring the next Maker Faire to San Diego. We know for sure it is happening. That I can tell you for certain. When it is happening, that is what we're working out. So, there's 2 possible options, Balboa Park and Del Mar. There's, pluses and minuses for both. But most importantly, and this is where Margie is going to grab the microphone, how you can help, separate from these monthly meetups that we do, is getting in touch with Margie, who's awesome, and you should interact with her as much as possible. So Margie is in charge of all of our volunteers and for the event organizing and corralling hundreds of people all working towards this beautiful thing that we're doing. So Margie, come up.
I talked last time and I wasn't near a mic and I got told I was too quiet, so I'm up here with the mic now. If you're interested, as Jose said, we don't have all the details, but we're really trying to move things forward. Anybody who is interested in social media, we would love to have your help because we're trying to get the word out, get more people involved, get different groups involved. People who love to do marketing, there's lots of opportunities. If you'd like to do teaching, if you love to hang out and do events, there's a whole bunch of events coming up. Figment, Zanasi, at the end of June 28th, is going to be sort of art and technology at Chicano Park. And I think Zanasi's got some ideas for that. We'd love to get some volunteers for that. I'm going to put out some notices. But there's other stuff that's happening, and we're here every month. Every 3rd Monday, the topic will vary. We'll be here next month in July, but in August, we're going to move up to North County and we're going to actually be at High Tech High in North County. And if you're saying, why? Because this is such a beautiful space. It's because it's kind of a schlep, especially at rush hour. And so we're hoping to reach out to more people in North County. So also we will probably be up there in September because it's a home game that night. And I have a feeling that it might be a little crowded down here. So I think that there's a lot of stuff going on. There's a sign-up sheet on the table. And if you're already on the mailing list, but there's things that you'd like to do, please sign up on the list and say, hey, I'd love to do social media. I'd love to take photographs. I'd love to do some marketing. I'd love to be at an event. And just talk to people about making. You know, if you're just psyched about what you're doing, all kinds of making, please let me know. Great. Thank you all.
And Margie was able to touch on some of them, but we're going to have another one of our organizers, Thanasi, whose last name escapes me right at this moment. But Thanasi is going to come and talk about some other things that are coming up in the very near future that we are, you know, sort of tangentially aware of and possibly involved in. So there you go.
Hey everybody. Yeah, I'm Thanasi Glavis. I've been involved with the Maker Faire and a variety of other things, but just want to give you a quick update on what's going on within San Diego. Currently, the Civic Innovation Lab has been working on an open city project, and it's been in partnership with Fab Lab and Katie and their amazing team over there. There's 3 projects that we're currently working on. One is a smart citizen sensor that will be deployed in the Barrio Logan area. It's meant to be an interactive art piece, but also provide metrics. So in the same way as quantified self, we're trying to do a quantified city. There's also a smart city dashboard that the information will hopefully feed into and allow people to access a variety of data points that will be available. And then lastly is a vertical garden, which will be implemented at the Pocket Park, which is on 13th and J.
That sounds right.
I think so, yeah. As Rad Lab Pocket Park. They're doing some great things. It's really about activating public space and transforming it into something that communities can get around, and the makers are obviously very community-oriented. I don't know if anybody else is going to mention this, but on June 18th, which is just around the corner, is the National Day of Making. It's the same day as the Maker Faire at the White House, which is an amazing thing. You'll see a lot of media around that. Also, as Jose had mentioned, June 28th is Figment, which is going to be at Chicano Park. It's an opportunity for makers and artists and community citizens to kind of get out into the park for the day and create fun, interactive art projects for youth and kids. Should be a lot of fun. You can find some information online if you just search San Diego Figment. Lastly, there's also the Balboa Park Cultural Partnership, which is hosting a play day on July 24th. Application process is still open until June 20th, and that is an opportunity for educators to come and meet makers and establish a curriculum, if you will, for them to then take to their schools. So it's a good opportunity to get out there and showcase some things, and also if you just want to come and play, come on out and play. That's pretty much all I have, and we'll give you the stage. Thank you.
So lots of activities happening in San Diego. Next, we are going to have another volunteer from San Diego Maker Faire, Kevin Herrera, talk about our Latino initiative and what we're doing to try and outreach to Latino makers. Kevin.
So part of kind of organizing all these events is really kind of meeting new people. There's already a group of makers here that really know each other, know the different segments all throughout San Diego, but part of the problem with everyone kind of being spread out is basically finding new people, finding new communities. I know specifically here being in San Diego, we have a very large Latino community, and I kind of want to bring more of that into our events. So part of that is not just the segment of Latinos, but also different cultures all throughout San Diego. We have different little pockets in the south and the north. and really just getting to know them and to see how they can incorporate into the making space. Making, as a kind of a generality, can involve a lot of different things. It can involve things with gardening, with art, with electronics, with clothing, a lot of different segments, and I'm trying to help push how different groups throughout San Diego can be a part of that. So if you know any schools, any communities, any youth centers, anything to that respect that want to be a part of the maker community but just don't know where to fit, I'm sure we can find you a spot. So that's basically what I'm trying to focus on here with the maker community. Thank you.
So if you'd like to participate or help out in any additional way, you can talk to any of the people you've seen up here tonight or reach out to Kevin after tonight's meeting. Next, a really cool announcement from the woman who makes this library space technically possible for us as well. The Emerging Technologies Librarian for San Diego Central Library, Vida Tran. Thank you.
Thank you. I actually had a warning this time that I was speaking today. Thanks. So because of the White House Maker Faire, President Obama put a call out for different mayors throughout the country to apply for the Maker Mayor Challenge, and I'm here to announce that our mayor has decided to participate in this challenge. And we don't know the full details of what he wants to participate in. As far as I know, there are 7 different things that he had mentioned to me when they were asking me about it. But it's a good thing. Hopefully it'll get announced soon and we'll have more details. I also don't want to take his attention away from his announcement, so I'm trying not to go into too much details. But it's definitely a good thing because it shows that they are very supportive of the maker community and they're recognizing all the wonderful work that we've been doing. And one of the things that they really want to see is a Maker Faire in San Diego. So yeah, there's that. So if you see the mayors, cheer them on, be proud that we're having a Maker Faire here. Yes. Oh, what? I don't know when. He will let me know when the details are coming, and I'm sure it is posted yet?
It's listed as part of the list of cities.
Yeah, there's a final rough draft that's listed that's there, but I don't know when the mayor himself is going to be speaking about it, because I think part of the challenge is to make a public pledge and to go into detail what projects, because when you apply for the challenge, there's 10 different things that you can do in order to promote, or to take on the challenge and promote the maker movement in San Diego. One of them was a Maker Faire. The other one was holding a round table with the maker community, and a few other initiatives as well. So, yeah. Any questions? That's good.
Okay. Next, we have Katie Rast, who I met through the Fab Lab here in San Diego, to talk about San Diego Startup Week and what that is, for those of you that don't know, where it is, right around the corner, and more information about it. So, Katie Rast.
Hi, everybody. It'll be pretty easy to remember because most of what I'm talking about is happening in this room. So this week is Startup Week, which is really about shining the light on local entrepreneurs and folks that are launching small businesses here in San Diego. So obviously making ties into that very much. San Diego, as we all know, has a great biotech. It's a hotbed, if you will, a hub for biotech. And we also have a lot of really great software-oriented startups here in San Diego. On Wednesday of this week, we will be in this room showing basically how the maker movement plays into that and how people are also developing hardware and physical products as a startup and as entrepreneurs and as small businesses. So we're really letting folks know that are in this mix that this is happening. It's a part of the maker movement. It's a part of, what's being heralded as the third industrial revolution, distributed manufacturing, yada, yada, yada. But most importantly, we'll be flying drones and 3D printing stuff and having a good old time. And we'll have some great startups that will be pitching their products. We'll have I think about 7 groups that are going to be talking about the projects that they've been in development on. We'll have 2 Kickstarters that are being launched on that day, and one that's closing on that day, hopefully successfully. And we'll have a chance to really kind of interact between our hardware and our software. We'll have the VC crowd, and we'll have the hungry startup crowd, and we'll really get to sort of feel the energy. It's a great event. It's a pretty big event. All through the week, there are things going on. I couldn't even possibly try to list all of them. The best thing to do is to go to SanDiegoStartupWeek.com. They're also tracking the hashtag GoSanDiego, so that's another way to look up stuff on that. But starting tomorrow all the way through Friday, and like I said, we'll be doing 2 different events, one on Wednesday talking about hardware and the maker movement, and one on Friday talking about innovative cities and how San Diego can develop an identity that is very innovation-centric, and why it is that cities across the nation are taking on this maker movement and are having real economic growth because of it. So we'll be talking a bit about that. And this is an open call and invitation to come and enjoy it, but also to come and prop up a table and show off wares as part of the maker community and showcase some of the stuff on behalf of the Mini Maker Faire. If you would like to, just let me know. I know it's extremely last minute, but that's how we roll sometimes. So, so let me know if you're interested. And then Open Cities Initiative is another tangent, but related to everything we've been talking about here tonight. There was a group, or there is a group called Civic Innovation Lab from within the City Planning Department. Unfortunately, they just got the hatchet, and they all have to exit with their belongings at the end of this month. But they were a very progressive group, and they were talking a lot about how downtown and San Diego in general can be a place that utilizes things like old public buildings that are sitting, going to waste, and turns them over so that artists and inventors can have access and low-cost use of these spaces and really revive the city. So a lot of great work was coming out of that space. Unfortunately, new mayor came in and perhaps didn't fully understand the benefit that this held, or it was a red versus blue, or whatever it was. Politics happened, and so that department is closing down. But we're doing a last hurrah, sort of in the spirit of that effort to really bring forth and keep that conversation moving in the city, because ultimately it really helps all of us and all of the people in the city that want to see things like that accessible. So we are going to be putting on something called the Open Cities Project. It's based on other urban prototyping projects that have happened in cities like San Francisco with some great outcomes before. And the NACI and others have come together to become parts of volunteer teams. We'll be doing, like he said, some really cool environmental sensors in the barrio, some great urban gardens downtown, and a bunch of other really interesting things. And so we also put an invite out to you as well. We'll be doing kind of an urban prototyping hackathon all day Saturday at the lab. If anyone is interested, anyone who has hardware, software skills are very much appreciated. It's a really, really awesome group of people that's come together, and everyone is full of creativity and on a really good track to make some cool stuff that we will present on the 28th of this month. So, once again, fast-paced. All right. Okay, thanks, everybody. Much appreciated. Yeah, question?
Wednesday and Friday, is it going to be in this room right here?
It will indeed. It will be in this room. And if we're lucky, we'll see a little quadcopter fly by that window right there.
Right, it's 1:30 here on Wednesday, and Friday it's going to be all day. That's going to be downstairs on the first floor in the auditorium.
Sorry. I thought it was here. It's downstairs on Friday in the auditorium.
Here, but Friday downstairs.
The Nazi? Well, these are free. These events are free, but you do have to RSVP because we need to know how many people. But other parts of it are at cost. So it depends. You can look at the schedule. Some of them have a cost associated and others are free. But yeah, these two in particular are free. Yeah, but good point. Okay, anything else? Any other questions? Yes?
I think you're looking to show us exactly how to do it, like on the screen, so we can see it being done on the screen instead of in the lab where it's really too small to read what's on the screen in the lab.
That is a problem sometimes. Well, there are ways to project things while you're working on them so you can see them bigger. I use an overhead projector in classes a lot where you can see my hands doing stuff and then the kids will follow along.
The software actually.
Mhm.
Yeah, I suppose.
Does it have like a compiler book where you can read the compiler book and do it?
I don't know about the compiler on this particular machine, but I'm sure it has one. So, all right. Well done. Thank you.
Right. That's a brain full of information there. No, that was good. That was very useful. All of it's important. So we're going to jump to, because we have about 4 minutes left before we leave this room, because everyone has to get their car out by 8, remember. Next meetup, July 21st in this room. What's the theme? Do we have the theme figured out yet?
I would like to find some people who would like to talk about their favorite sources of inspiration, information. So if you love Thingiverse, if you love Instructables, if you love particular open source sites, let me know. I'll be here for a couple minutes, say, hey, I'd love to talk, and I'd like to get probably 4 or 5 different people to talk briefly about different places that they go and resources that they use, because I think everybody would benefit from more.
Don't forget the library's website.
Yeah, lots of resources on our website. So in closing, I wanted to definitely thank everyone for coming to tonight's event. This is an image that I saw a long time ago that has always stuck with me, and when I think of wearable technology, I think of this image, which, by the way, the file name for this when I found it on the internet was Borgs at MIT. These are all these very, very fundamental experts in the technologies that we use today. 20 years ago, that's what it looked like, and it was created at the Wearable Computing Initiative at MIT, and it's just a really cool picture. So thank you for coming, and we'll see you next month. Talk to any of these people over here if you want to present in any way.